we were not good, or we were not good enough to run a proper company. Plus, on the one hand, we wanted to really focus and be good on the technology side, and we needed someone else or some other people to complement us on the corporate issues. So we got a few more friends who were willing enough to complement us on the corporate issues, because we knew at that time that we had to look for angels investors. We need to look for people who would invest in the group, put money in the group, and so on. Plus, we need people who will look after the finance and accounting issues and so on, because we wanted very much to just focus and be good in what we were doing on the technology side. And we also felt, or we also knew, that we enjoyed high popularity in the public sector. Because of the free of charge jobs, we knew that the learning experience, the popularity, and the exposure, as well as the network and friends that we had in the entire public sector, it would make us, or it would enable us to get a lot of business in the public sector. In other words, at that time, we were already what was called trusted experts on these problems in the country. So in the end, around the year 2000, the group became a company. It was incorporated to become a company. And in 2003, 2004, we went international, because between 2000 and 2003, we secured quite a major project by the government, because the government sort of trusted us to look after the entire monitoring of the public sector networks in the country. So after the incorporation, the government said, we trust you, we like you, can you now develop some kind of security operation center, which is actually the managed security services for the public sector? And we said, yes, this is something that we can do, but now the free of charge time is finished. Now is pay time. The government said, okay, we knew your capability, we trust you, because you are going to be managing not just typical information, but even information that goes to secret and top secret. Because by then, we were hinted that we will be looking after the network security of the Ministry of Defense, the police, foreign affairs, Ministry of Finance, and so on. So the government sort of gave us a project which to us was relatively big at that stage. It was about 70 million ringgit project for a group of people who were just from the university. And we developed the first security operation center for the Malaysian government, which manages various agencies. And until today, we are managing about 250 agencies throughout the country, monitoring the network or the health situation of the network 24/7. So after we have that experience with the public sector, we also knew that we had the potential to provide the same service in the private sector. And our next target was, of course, the easiest one were the financial sectors, the banks and the insurance companies. So we built another MSS center, or SOC, which is purposely for the private sector in the country. And then in about 2004, we also knew that we could make this into something that can go international. And being where we are, the nearest target was, of course, Indonesia, because Indonesia has a population of a lot more than us, 250 million people. And we knew that, or we read that Indonesia has the volume issue. In other words, you probably can develop business that goes into volumes. And Indonesia is a place that has a lot of people. So in 2004, we went to Jakarta and basically repeat the same success that we had in our country. So with this performance, in 2006, the group got listed in a similar thing like the NASDAQ, but what was in Malaysia is the MASDAQ. And in fact, the group became almost the top performer of MASDAQ listing in 2006 with a market capitalization of about 200 million ringgit. And that's about 70 million US dollars. Okay, so that was the chronology. That was the genesis as well as the chronology of the group. What made us successful, to me, were some of these factors. The support and the partnership. The first support was, of course, from the government. And I attribute this a lot with the way we carried ourselves to the market. We carried ourselves first by developing the trust in the public sector. We did free jobs to a lot of people. And people could see that we could do the jobs technically. So the government was the first supporter. And of course the government has this policy as well that they would like to see technopreneurs coming out from universities or coming out from centers of excellence, so that the research that were produced, the prototypes that were produced, the skills that were produced and developed, how can this be turned into revenue generations? Either it is for the university or for the country, something that can spin off economic activities. So the government was very, very supportive of us. The second support came from the financial angels and investors. I should share that in around 1996, 1998, it was very easy to sell computer security as a business. You just scare off the client and the market, and they get the idea, and they get the message. And for us, we scared off the banks, we send fear to the financial insurance companies, and almost immediately they could see that what we were doing could make a lot of business sense. And we, through the corporate friends that we had, it was not really very difficult for us to get the first angel investor. Okay, so with the money that came in and a good management from the financial perspective, I think we grew really quite fast. And in about 5 years, which is really a quite fast track for any typical emerging, budding technopreneur in Malaysia at that time, 5 years is quite a fast track to become a listed company. We also had international partners, individuals, organizations that enhance the credibility and reputation of our group. And we also maintain contacts with universities, not just the university I came from, even other universities, research institutes, that eventually later on, these institutes come and say, these are the products from my center. I want you to go and now turn them into commercial products. So we turn into this kind of activity from the company perspective. So among our products and services, initially, the training made a lot of money. Training was also good because once you train people, they also easily develop trust and confidence in you. And then we had incident handling, network design, OS hardening, forensic, and so on, which we used to be doing free of charge, but from then on,